Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. Okay, I'm going to try to make this a short one. And I just wanted to go into this article. It says, young mother speaks out after being shot 10 times by ex-boyfriend. I pray women take this as a sign. And the woman that was shot was this woman, which was appeared to be Southern Kingdom. You know, sound like Southern Kingdom too. I'm going to play a video where she's actually speaking. But when they said she got shot 10 times and she was still alive, I was like, damn, But when you go, when you look, when you read the story, well, I ain't gonna read the whole story. I'm gonna get some of the point of it. But when you go into it and you see the man she was with, you're gonna be like, all these women, or the majority of these women, especially Israelite women who look down on a man that would have actually, even if the man wasn't in the truth, just a man who had a sense of direction, who understood, the importance of building a family, trying to do the things the right way. Women look down on that type of man, and instead they wanted to go after that certain archetype, the thuggish or the street, whatever term they got for it now. That's the archetype. Well, they call them YNs now, but that's the archetype that Eve always liked, which I gonna pull the image up of him. His name was Joshua Woodruff, and you can see exactly what he looked like. Tattoo or whatever it is drawn on his face of a gun, a AK with a piercing on the side of his face. A better image of him, and tatted up all on his neck, so you got tattoos all over his body. But this is the archetype, or this is what Eve likes. This is what they go after. They don't want the man that's actually brings stability. And I'm gonna read a little bit of it, and then I'm gonna play the video. It says, a 23-year-old mother, mind you, in Atlanta is turning her pain into a warning for others after surviving a brutal domestic violence attack that left her paralyzed in parts of her body and confined to a wheelchair. Shemay Pitt is still recovering physically and emotionally after police say she was allegedly shot multiple times by her ex-boyfriend during a November confrontation. Someone I thought would keep me safe. You see, this is her words. She said someone she thought would keep her safe. But you tell, how the quote say? A picture says 1,000 words, or a picture is worth 1,000 words, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Yeah, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And matter of fact, let's get the meaning of that. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Meaning. A picture is worth 1,000 words means a single complex image can convey a story, emotion, or idea more effectively and instantly than a long, detailed verbal description. It highlights that visuals often have a greater, more immediate impact than the text because the brain processes images faster. So, just from that understanding, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and you can instantly tell what type of vibration or what type of energy this person is coming in, and it ain't just in the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. It ain't in no righteous spirit, and her words exactly was someone she thought would keep her safe. So let's go to the video and let her speak. And this is fair use. I'm not using this content to make any money. This is strictly for educational purposes, bringing out biblical truths. Fair use.
who I thought would keep me safe ended up being the person who really hurt me.
For the last month, Shimei Pitt has been unable to feel parts of her body and is still in a wheelchair because she can't walk. The 23-year-old is also mentally traumatized after being shot 10 times, allegedly by her ex-boyfriend.
I have bullet wounds all right here. I have bullet wounds right here, grazed my spine. I have a bullet wound right here that severed this whole leg and my nerves.
The story of what happened is shocking, hard for even Pitt to believe. On November 2nd, she went to meet up with her ex-boyfriend at a DeKalb County apartment complex to talk, but things quickly took a turn when she tried to leave. An incident report says 25-year-old Joshua Woodruff allegedly shot the young mother multiple times in her car at close range.
I say the first few shots, I just was stuck.
Pitt says he then allegedly jumped in the driver's seat and drove her around for 2 hours from DeKalb County to Douglas County. It was there that she says he pulled over and made 2 phone calls. One of them, she claims, was to his mother, telling her what he'd done and that he didn't know what to do next.
I don't want to die in this car. I don't want to die in this car.
Pitt tells me Woodruff finally drove her to the hospital where she discovered she suffered shattered bones and bullet wounds in her arm and leg.
My arm has a rod in it.
Now she is sharing her story in hopes of helping other victims of domestic violence.
I started to blame myself for a lot, and therapy has helped.
At last check, Woodruff was in the Douglas County Jail being held on obstruction charges. But Pitt says her pain will never go away, even after she physically heals.
I pray for women. I pray that they see this and they take this as a sign to get away.
All right. So, and as you can see, she said too that she started to blame herself for a lot of things. And I guarantee you, one of those things that she probably was blaming herself for was she saw the signs and ignored them, as most women do, until something like this happens, that judgment comes, and then it's too late, you know, because let me get this real quick. 2nd Ezra 16. Where is it at? I'm gonna start at 5. It says, 4. No, 3. It's 3, verse 3. A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Now, this is going into the judgment and destruction of Babylon the Great America. But this same principle can be applied when the Lord brings judgment too, you know, on a person. If he brings judgment, you know, in the midst of it, you got to go through it, you know, or people, you tend to go through it, you know. Now, the Lord spared her and kept her alive. He didn't allow her to die from that situation. But as the more she goes back and reflect on it, the more she starts to reflect on all the signs that told her that was a danger, you know, or not to do that, or leave this person alone, or stay away from this person, this, that, and the third, or you should have never chose this person to begin with. And lo and behold, you know, a situation came, judgment came, you know, and that was a sword, you know. Let me get because as it say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. This is Sirach chapter 30. Where is it? 30. No, it's chapter 7. 7:25. Marry thy daughter, and so shalt thou have performed a weighty matter, but give her to a man of understanding. See, and I've been getting the scripture a lot, you know, recently. And this just goes back into the importance of, first and foremost, why fathers are important. Because a man will be any man in his right mind would have told her that she need to leave that guy alone before something bad happens to her. Any man would have seen all the signs. But again, a lot of women, they overlook that. A lot of women don't be dumb. You know, they might they might make dumb decisions, or they might make foolish decisions, but a lot of women are not foolish or dumb, because again, when it comes to a man that's actually like I said, I just use example for a man of this world that's actually trying to walk the right path, or walk a good path. They'll be able to critique him when it comes to certain things that that he's good at, that they like and admire, and also things that they don't like and don't admire. They'll be able to critique a man like that to a T. But to other types of men, they give passes and they overlook a lot of things. So a lot of women, they are not just foolish to the point to where they just incapable. They just choose bad. They make bad decisions. And that highlights the importance of a father or a man in general, because a man brings stability, but he brings guidance. This is why women were meant to be led. Even as a daughter, you're meant to be led by the father, because a man is going to always be in that mode of making sure the best outcome happens for him and those that he's responsible for. A man of understanding, a man that, now I'm switching to a man of Yahweh Shema Shah, a man of understanding, or a man that has sense, or a man that has some sense of righteousness. They're going to try to make the best decision possible. Any man would have told her that man you need to stay away from that man before something bad happens, And like I said, a lot of women, they choose that archetype of man, and then when something happens, well, most times when something happened, the women don't be around to tell the story, or to be able to give other women that warning of, look, you don't need to be around a type of guy like this, because they go back to the spirit world. But you do have those cases where the women do survive, as such as this one. And now she has a lot of time to reflect on everything. As like I said, she continued to physically heal, and to heal from something like that emotionally, that's a process. That's something hard. That's very traumatic. That's life-changing traumatic. Healing from something like that is also going to be, it's almost damn near impossible. Not saying that she can't heal, but it's something so traumatic that changed her life. She's paralyzed. She can't walk. And that's something that'll always stick with her. And especially the decisions that she was making prior to all of that happening. That's why she said she feel like a lot of that, what was her words? I think she said she feel like it was, or some of those things were her fault. Let me see her exact words. Oh, she said, I started to blame myself for a lot. It said she said therapy has helped her cope with feelings of guilt and shock. But what do you mean guilt? And it's probably going to some of the things she probably was doing too. But there's no, it didn't go into detail. So, and just read this. It says, turning pain into awareness. Now, Pitt is using her story to warn other women about the dangers of domestic violence and the importance of recognizing warning signs early. And this is not the type of behavior that you would get from, again, just men that's trying to build. Not saying that men don't, the men of this world, because ultimately the top man and the man to be desired is a man of Yahweh Shema Shah, a man of the Lord. But even men of this world, they still have a little more sense. They tend to have more stability and sense than, when I say men of this world, I mean men outside the truth that's trying to build, that's trying to, plan for the future. That's what I mean. Not that, the type of archetype that you would put this guy into. But it says, Pitt is using her story to warn other women about the dangers of domestic violence and the importance of recognizing warning signs early. It says, I pray for women, she said. I pray that they see this and they take this as a sign to get away. So again, a lot of women experience these situations and they don't make it out of it, but this woman still she made it out of that situation alive. The Lord blessed her to be able to still be alive, but at the same time, that was, it's a heavy price. It's a very, very heavy price that came with this. So that goes back into the importance of the scriptures. I'm gonna read it again. Sirach 7:25. Marry thy daughter, and so shalt thou have performed a weighty matter, but give her to a man of understanding. So this is the type of man that a woman is supposed to be with. And women, most women, certain modern day women, I say it like that, the modern day woman tend to like a little chaos in their life. They think that that's the type of masculinity that they need, but they mislabel actual masculinity. As a matter of fact, let's look that up. They mislabel actual masculinity as toxic masculinity. And then toxic masculinity, they think that's just how a man's supposed to be. But let's look up the definition. Toxic masculinity meaning. It says a set of attitudes and ways of behaving stereotypically associated with or expected of men, regarded as negative impact on men and on the society as whole. It says toxic masculinity is a concept used in academic and media discussions to refer to those aspects of hegemonic masculinity that are socially destructive, such as misogyny, homophobia, and violent denomination. Which violent denomination is the last. That's the importance, because that's what happened in her case. It says examples of toxic masculinity. It says examples of toxic masculinity include emotional suppression. It say boys don't cry. Aggression, violence, bullying, road rage, hyper independence, which is refusing help, therapy, homophobia, misogyny, and they got a lot of it wrong. It says in rigid gender roles, refusing chores, forcing dominance in relationships. So of course they gonna have a moderate spin on it. A lot of it's wrong, but a lot of it is right. That aggression and violence, most definitely, because that's pertaining to her situation. And it says in public and social settings, bullying and where was it? I thought they had something going into that. Anyways, let's go down and see a little bit more. It says toxic masculinity, which I'm not going to read the article. I just wanted to bring out that point. It says toxic masculinity is represented by qualities such as violence, dominance, emotional illiteracy, sexual entitlement, and hostility to femininity. And a lot of these women, they'll submit to them type of guys. They will submit to them type of guys, but those guys bring actual toxic masculinity, which is not even really masculine at all. And then a lot of women, they be surprised when they get the results. But when you have an actual man that's trying to be an actual man, especially if it's a man of the Lord, these women tend to combat them. They don't want to submit and be submissive. But that's the part of why Isaiah 4:1 is going to be so impactful, because they're going to already be in a bad case, and the man of the Lord, Yahweh Shema Washah, Lord is going to be with them. The Lord is going to be with his men, his chosen. And when women see that, they're going to understand and know. A lot of women they're not going to fit it. They're not going to be they're going to get rejected. But you are going to have a lot of women, because it's going to be because Isaiah 4:1 is about, or it goes into multiple women. So you're going to still have more women than men that do be that's getting with men. So you're going to have a number of women that actually get with one man, men of the Lord, to be saved and for childbearing. But read it one more time. This is Sirach 7:25. Marry thy daughter, and so shalt thou have performed a weighty matter, but give her to a man of understanding. So that's very, very, very important. And we live in a culture, in a society where that's not being exercised, it's not being practiced. And now we're seeing the results of it, because there were wicked men even in the ancient world. There was a wicked men, but those wicked men wasn't put on a pedestal. They were looked down on, in most cases, a lot of cases, unless our people was in captivity and, in such situations like that. Like you said, Maccabees, you had wicked men in Israel that went to make agreements with the heathen, and they started acting and becoming like the heathen, just like our people do now. They don't have no form of godliness, so they look just like the heathens. They behave like the heathens. That's what it say right here in Lamentations. Was it chapter 2? Or let me see, where is it? Lamentations 4. How is the gold become dim? And the gold is representation of the Israelite man. How is the most fine gold changed? The stones of the sanctuary are poured out in the top of every street. The precious sons of Zion, comparable to fine gold, how are they esteemed as earthen pitchers, the work of the hands of the potter? So the Lord is going into a comparison of how did the Israelite man, who was once comparable to fine gold, that's just how superior we were in our nature because of the law, statutes, and commandments Yahweh Shem Yahushua had given us. How are we become like earthen pitchers? We become so low, which is what you see to this day. And that guy, he's an Israelite man, but his behavior is that of the heathen, more specifically the Edomite man, the Esau Edom, because he is a man of violence. He is a man of violence, but they project and push that image on the Jake, showing that Jake is a violent man. Jake, the Israelite man, is about violence, and then furthermore, he corrupted our people, and put that mindset and that archetype. He constructed this archetype of Israelites, men, and then pushed that like, see, I told you they was like that, but he was projecting it first. Meanwhile, that's his whole nature to begin with. So our people have fallen from a great status and a great, from the great level that we once were, all the way down to what you see to this day. Again, that guy, he's an Israelite, he is an Israelite nonetheless, but we understand the times we're living in and the type of Israelites we dealing with, So, as the scriptures say, back in Sirach 7, marry thy daughter, but give her to a man of understanding. Just highlighting the importance of a father, being a deciding factor of who his daughter marries, so that she can have the best possible life and future, moving forward, and not have to be subject to situations like that, or possibly wind up in a situation like that. This can happen to anybody, but no man wants this to happen to their daughter. No man wants this to happen to any, to their children, but especially their daughter. They don't want this, nothing like this to ever happen. But again, this is just what the results of not keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments get. This is what it gets us. So, Lord wills, the edifying lesson. And on that note, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. And until next time, shalom.